we still don't care. Anytime, anywhere.
And now, the World Tag Team Champions.
Cock back the hammer, watch me lay him down. Saw face the villains, we don't play around. Nobody make a sound. On. Grab your women and children and get the safer ground. The king's done like a Jamaican town. Futuristic flow, dark start with a laser sound. Leaving nothing but a vapor trail. And my bass heavyweight, no shake, I'ma break the scale.
Victor, we have followed your instructions to the letter.
Let me just cut to the chase. You have a bucket of weight.
Hello. Welcome to the WrestleCollective Weekly podcast. I am your host, Jordan Sinclair Carter. Never here alone, always here with my collective compadres. Today we have a very special guest that you guys.
Thank you.
We have a very special guest. My co-host from No Dirt Just Dialogue, Juice Springsteen, will be joining us momentarily. But before we get into any of that, Hannibal, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, it's a Thursday. Crack on with the others. They've probably got more interesting stuff to say.
We also got Dev here replacing Advocate or Grump. Well, I don't know who
Which
your
one?
person is.
Which one you want me to be today?
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. Can you do amalgamation of both?
Yeah.
Advocate.
I sure do love Jamie Hayter. And hey, I didn't see you there.
That's funny. We are also joined by the man who makes it all possible, Big Raps Ryan. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Eventful week. So it's nice to just sit back, relax, and talk with you guys. Damn, you don't like me that much?
Pretty much.
We are also joined by Soto here today with a very special message, as we are not going to do This Week in Wrestling History this week, as it is Pride Month. So we wanted Soto, because we want to be about it, not just talk about it. And so we believe in inclusion and representation very well here at the collective. So I wanted Soto to come up and, kind of say a little something for Pride Month. So Soto, the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me on. So as we all know, it's Pride Month, and I hate to start off my message with like a little sadness, but Pride is a protest, and it started out as a protest, and it'll continue to be a protest. Despite all the progress that's been made outside and in professional wrestling over the years, queer and trans people are still being prosecuted, discriminated against, and killed for just being who we are. So it's really, really important that we continue to support, not just say, but go out and do. I'm really lucky to be able to share this message with y'all, honoring queer wrestlers and queer wrestling. And I wouldn't really be here without the people that came before me, the fans and the wrestlers. And just somebody I wanted to mention in my little soliloquy here is Chris Kanyon. He's unfortunately not here to see it. He's the first gay wrestler that I ever found. And he's somebody that's very special to me. And I often find myself going back and watching the stuff that he did because he pioneered so much. And I think that wrestling will continue to be an avenue, such a great avenue for queer people and the stories that they tell. We just have to be willing listeners. We have to be willing supporters, and it has the potential, I think, to grow beyond kind of what it is. And the great thing about queer wrestlers is, in a world that is increasingly hostile to these people, and including the fans as well, because I think a lot of people kind of forget that the online things that queer fans, including myself, get kind of gets overlooked as well. They continue to go out there and tell these great stories in wrestling and continue to put on great shows. So wrestling is for everyone, and it will always be for everybody. It makes me happy to be here, and the fact that I have this.
Do you have a favorite LGBT wrestler? Of all time. Favorite, I know you said Kanyon, which Kanyon is pretty great, because who better than Kanyon? But do you have like a favorite current that you could say?
My favorite wrestler of all time is bisexual, Kenny Omega. But if I had to mention another, I wanted like a man and a woman, probably Vani. She is a trans woman in Japan, and like she's currently wrestling. She's a young star and kind of like one of very few over there. So that's something that a lot of times queer people have to navigate, just like women in wrestling. Like sometimes they're the only women in the room, you know, they're the only queer person in the room. And then another familiar name for people, Speedball Mike Bailey, is a non-binary wrestler, and it's really cool that they have a platform on TV because we don't often get to see that, especially in America in the current climate that we're in.
You know, I just want to you bring up Speedball, and I'm glad you know because a lot of people dislike Speedball for their his life choices, you know, what he decides to do with his life. You know, who he decides to be. I just want to go out and say a few things, you know, just me personally. And Soto, you know me, so you know this goes to the first love. Wrestling is inherently gay.
Yes, absolutely. It is a queer form of, it's like drag.
It is possibly one of the gayest things that you can do. I'm just not gonna lie to you guys. Oiling yourself up, wearing some tights under, you know, or a thong, you know, something like that. Like that's inherently gay. So anybody
I heard someone say once it's like the baby of RuPaul's Drag Race in MMA.
Yes. So again, like I was trying to say, anybody who is, you know, trying to, you know, call Speedball this or you know, I see Nyla Rose get a lot of hate. Again, wrestling is inherently gay. You know what I mean? You have to kind of let that go, or just grow up and be a mature adult and just like let people live their lives. Again, this is Pride Month. We want to celebrate and not just talk about it. We want to be about it. And so that's why I wanted you specifically to come up here and, you know, just share your truth, talk your story. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the LGBT community in wrestling, it's in this weird niche where it's accepted, but it's also rejected at the same time. But we here at the Collective, we are an inclusive family. We love all. Love conquers, love wins, as they say. So I just want to say thank you for not only being a part of the Collective, but being a crucial member of the Collective and sharing your time with us today to kind of, you know, share a little bit about, you know, what it is to be LGBT in the IWC and things like that. So definitely want to just say thank you for all of that.
Of course, thank you for having me, and I just like want to let people know that the support that you extend in wrestling, please extend that outside of it. You probably know a queer person, you probably know a trans person, even if you don't, like, just, you know, sometimes that little bit of kindness that you extend to somebody could really, you know, and I don't even just say this for LGBT people, but just in general, like, may make somebody's day better, may go beyond what you think that your power has, because you can support a wrestler, but it kind of all connects us, I think, is that being kind to one another.
You know, and that's just kind of what it boils down to, is just being kind to one another. It doesn't hurt to be kind to somebody. It doesn't hurt to respect somebody. No one's saying that Speedball or Nyla Rose or Sonny Kiss or Kenny Omega, you know, have to be your favorite wrestlers, but you don't need to anytime, because I follow Nyla Rose. She's fucking hilarious. You know, you'll always see that one or two trash comments, you know what I'm saying? Especially on Speedball's posts too, you'll see a couple of trash comments. It costs you absolutely nothing to just be kind or to just scroll by if you don't like it. So again, I love your message of extended outside of wrestling. You know, you probably do know a gay person. You probably do know somebody who's been persecuted for their lifestyle. It costs you nothing to be kind and show respect. Again, here at the Collective, we want to be about it, not just talk about it. And so this is one of the ways that I feel like we can do it. So just want to say thank you, Soto. Very much appreciated.
Of course.
Is there anything else that you want to kind of throw out there and say? You know, I know you guys got a Queens Road coming up.
Yes, we do.
So very excited about that. You know what you're going to be talking about on Queens Road, or are you still writing your notes? I know you're a big notes detail person.
We are going to be just like our Mania episode, we are going to be doing a Forbidden Door episode. So we're going to be kind of booking like all women's Forbidden Door, just like we booked an all women's Mania, because we feel that's like it's like the opposite. We didn't really book AEW affiliated companies, so this time it's the other way around. So we give some attention to that other kind of half. So we're really excited to do that.
Well, definitely check that out. I don't have I believe you guys are going on the 14th.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, yes, please definitely check that out. That's in 2 weeks, the 14th, and I believe so. I can confidently make this announcement now, especially with 2 members of Queens Road team here. Queens Road will be moving on to twice a month. We, again, here at the Collective, we want to be about it, not just talk about it. And having an all women's podcast is something we truly believe in. Women's wrestling is wrestling. So why not give them more shine? You guys are absolute fucking superstars, something we'll be talking about later. So you guys will be going on twice a month. So I know your first episode is going to be the 14th, and I think you guys are going to have one on the 30th as well. Very, very excited about that. So please, everybody watching here right now, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know not only when we go live, but when you see these two for Queens Road go live as well. So want to say thank you, Soto, for coming up here. Good chance you'll probably be guest hosting next week as well. So please make your schedule available.
I can do that.
So we would love to have you on again. So again, thank you, Soto. Appreciate your time. Thank you for coming out and saying that.
You've always been my favorite, Soto.
Thank you.
All right, I'm pretty sure I'll see you in the Discord. But let's now bring up our very well-esteemed guest. I talk to this man every other Thursday now. It used to be every Thursday. I'll be seeing this man here in about a month and a half or so in Minnesota. My cohort in crime, my fellow Danhausen hater. No, I'm just kidding. It's my boy Juice Springsteen. Let's bring him up. How you doing, Juice? How you doing, man?
Minnesota! Can't wait.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm very excited.
Minnesota. Yeah. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. It won't be cold like Minnesota when we're there, though. It's going to be to steal a Lil Yachty line because he's a very prominent manager all of a sudden in WWE. But I'm doing pretty good. And I'm looking forward to, discussing star power. I believe you brought up earlier.
Yes.
So looking forward to it. And this is what we get to do whenever Drew decides to gallivant across the country with his family. So
right, so say
how rude.
How rude, right? How rude.
How dare you?
But as we didn't have any this week in wrestling history, we're going to just get straight into the nitty gritty and kind of talk about Raw and Dynamite. Raw this past week, I felt was a little weak, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I did sit down and watch. I sat down and watched because I thought that, okay, we were going to get something out of the Jacob and Roman stuff.
You thought.
Sorry.
Right. I think this is the 23rd time this year that we have said Raw has been weak. This is also the 23rd week of the year, for context.
And I'm not. There'll probably be a little bit more. Honestly, it's not. I will say this: outside of the Oba Femi stuff, which we're definitely going to talk about Oba a little bit later when we talk about Star Power. This nothing to really sink my teeth into for this Raw. I don't know why, but mainly for me because I'm kind of locked in on Jacob and Roman. I'm not going to lie to you. Like there's something, there's a thread that I'm sort of intrigued by because one thing that happened this past week is Jacob kind of challenging Jey Uso, and now there's kind of a little bit more pressure on Jey to win the King of the Ring and stuff like that. And I like the dynamic. I like the back and forth they had. But again, I think Raw overall just wasn't that strong of a show this week. There was nothing really that is super memorable. You know, well, no, I take that back. Again, Ova, that was pretty damn good. But what did you guys think? Let's go to Juice first. Juice, did you happen to catch Raw this week, and what did you think?
I did, and I mean, certain times in pro wrestling, especially just WWE in general. I mean, back in pre-AEW, so whenever I was in college, my one buddy would always say from as soon as SummerSlam is done until Rumble is bullshit season, right? Where nothing happens, football's around, so they gotta just kind of meander, and they're never going to get the highest ratings because everything else is more important. Now I feel like WWE tries to make everything important every time. And I think that can almost go against them to where now I can almost pinpoint more bullshit season, where now they're, they have SummerSlam coming at the end of the summer, but Money in the Bank is the month after that. So like things are going to be a little reverse. So I think they're kind of meandering with, you had 3 PLE-esque shows in May with Backlash, Saturday Night's Main Event, and Clash in Italy. That's a lot. 3 out of the 4 weeks of a month are practically a PLE. So now it's like we got to slow down. We got a Saudi show, and then we're going to lock into a huge Saturday Night's Main Event at Madison Square Garden. But then you kind of kick things into high gear then. SummerSlam, right. Money in the Bank. So the fall is going to be almost more important. The back half of the summer is going to be more important. So I think now they're just like, let's get whatever we can on TV. Let's kind of sink our teeth into this King and Queen in the Ring. AK, let's just get it over with, because I think they just want to get to the finals and they don't really care. But they're doing the European tour. I like the afternoon Raws. So I didn't really mind too much of what was going on. But I'm kind of with my own thought of what they think is, let's get to Saudi and let's get this show over with. Because I want Saturday Night's Main Event in Madison Square Garden is incredibly intriguing to me, especially if the Knicks win the NBA
finals.
I
was just about to say, if the Knicks
if the Knicks win the finals, I don't think the Garden's gonna be there for Saturday Night's Main Event.
No.
That's right; they'll still be partying. So
yeah,
they got a lot going on after Saudi. So I think that because after Saudi, there's nothing I think in Saudi until Mania, unless they do Crown Jewel, right?
I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we'll get a Crown Jewel. That's a Drew question for sure.
This would be the first time we don't have a Crown Jewel since
if they don't do it. Because right, but I think they probably will, because we don't know the schedule past Money in the Bank, which is September. Yeah. And I think that I want to say I saw where they're like, oh, Saudi Arabia gets 3 shows this year, which would have been Rumble, that Night of Champions, and then Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
So we just don't know about it yet, but
I figured they wouldn't, because with since they got Mania, that okay, hey, we're not going to do, because I understand the
contracts are contracts.
Contracts are contracts, right?
That's what I'm saying. So I think October, because in the years past they had Bad Blood in October. I think October is the month where you might see them do Crown Jewel again, because November Survivor Series, they could put it in the first week of November or whatever. But
I think if they knew like a few more years out, we wouldn't have 3 more Saudi shows this year. If they knew that they were going to do Mania a little farther in advance than they already did.
True, because you're right. Because Mania this year was bounced around. So the fact that we're locked into Saudi, like this is what we're doing. I think now it's like, wow,
because it raises the question, right? You know how AEW used to oversaturate the Chicago market. Is this something that we're going to see for WrestleMania? Is that going to hurt the WrestleMania sales? I'm no expert on it. So that's why I'm deferring.
What do you mean the sales? Like
of the tickets
to Saudi?
Sales.
Oh, they'll pay.
Or you mean when it comes back? Are you saying Saudi ticket sales? Because I don't think it's going to matter. I think they're going to pack in whoever
just
they got to
get
get in
the novelty WrestleMania and
it's
packages and
because they've had that's my thing. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure Green Shirt Guy will find his way there. But I think that they've got
might
their
get
audience
flown out by Mohammed bin Salman. I think that's his name. Like personally,
Yeah. So they have an audience that they've kind of built up.
He'd wrestle Yokozuna.
That would be the main event with Ultimate Warrior as referee. But
oh my God,
they have been doing these shows with so much money that they get more money for these shows than they do for any WrestleMania. So actually having WrestleMania there, they're going to have people in the building, and the crowds, to their credit, have actually gotten increasingly better because they actually get to see wrestling more often than they ever have, like twice a year sometimes. So I think they're going to be thrilled to actually get the granddaddy of them all. And unfortunately for us that want to maybe go to WrestleMania at 44, wherever that may be, because they haven't announced it yet, the demand is going to be psychotic considering we're missing out on a whole year of not having it here for the first time ever. It's been in Canada.
People might
twice,
actually want to go out to Indianapolis for the first time.
Indianapolis, maybe. I think Nashville.
They were promised the Mania.
Yeah, but it was within 10 years, and they still don't. They get a SummerSlam as well. They haven't had that yet, so
true.
I think they'll kind of stretch that out as far as they can, knowing they have to go there. If it was me right now betting, I'd bet Nashville for 44.
So Dev, you are, you're very unbiased and whatnot, and Juice brought up a great point that WWE feels like they're in a holding pattern right now. We're waiting to land. We're just circling the air right now. Is that something that you feel the same about? Would you say that that's true? Because I'm not really there.
I didn't know. Oh man, I didn't know there's a dress code.
I'm sorry. I'm breaking. I'm sorry. Call him the man.
I think today was also the first time we've ever seen Hannibal and Juice in the same room.
And now, how are they going to tell us apart?
It looks like my doppelganger, to be honest.
I mean, one of you guys has a Ron Jeremy mustache, and the other looks, normal.
Don't say that about Juice. I guessed.
Thank you, Hannibal.
Unbelievable. I'm sorry, Drew. I'm sorry to do this to you, man.
The green hat lives. This is the greatest bit ever. No, Dev. So WWE does feel like they're kind of been in a holding pattern. The King and Queen of the Ring tournaments kind of seem very predictable. The Rock kind of Jacob stuff, because we don't really, or not Roman Jacob stuff.
Speaking it into existence.
Right. Roman and Jacob kind of they're on the same page, and so Roman doesn't really have a challenger right now. Like, so what did you think of this past week's Raw? I know you watched it. Would you say some of the similar things? Do you feel like WWE's in a holding pattern right now?
Yeah. I do have only the slightest pushback on the predictability, and I would want to pose your question with a question, because anyone that's mildly tuned into the product knows something. The Queen of the Ring was botched. That had to be a botch to include Liv Morgan, right?
Maybe they forgot that she was champion.
Yeah, I think that's what they did. I think they forgot.
Like, doesn't that like when people book that incompetently, that's unpredictable, isn't it?
Yeah, there's an image that I gotta look for, because you brought up Liv Morgan.
I know what image you're gonna. I know what image.
But I wanted to know, like, what is predictable about that tournament for you guys? Is it the winner or?
Yes, like I think it's very clear cut. I think Seth is probably it for the men's. You either got Seth or Jey Uso.
What about Ova?
What about LA Knight? Yeah, I think Brock's gonna affect the.
Did we just have someone on the show vouch for LA Knight? Am I not alone anymore?
No, you're alone.
Dude, I'm a huge proponent of LA Knight. I just think that they see that he's over, and they're like, yeah, but we didn't put him over, so we're not going to keep going. Like, the fans got him, so fuck that.
I don't like LA Knight has been Zack Rydered 15 times, and he still gets reactions.
LA Knight won did he win the US title, or am I crazy?
Yeah, more importantly, he won the 2023 Slim Jim Battle Royal.
Right. Wow. And the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. R.I.P.
No,
Bray
he
Wyatt.
lost.
Oh
That.
my
He lost that to
god,
Bray.
that was the
But
thing.
he was in it.
I remember that. Oh,
Him being in
I
it
like
is
to
good enough
forget
for
that.
me.
which, by the way, Pitch Black, terrible flavor. Terrible flavor.
I like
there's
Pitch Black.
better. Baja Blast, Brain
Baja
Supreme.
Blast or Voltage for me. If I'm drinking Mountain Dew. Yeah.
But to Dev's point, this was Liv Morgan's reaction when she found out she was in the tournament.
Like, bro, she needs to win.
Live
I want her-
reaction.
I want her to win after this. This is
Live
hilarious.
reaction.
Live reaction.
Well, here's the thing that they'll probably try to do. So let's just assume, I mean, they did it on purpose, but I feel like they probably didn't think it through and they probably realized, oh, wait, she is champion. I feel like no matter what happens, whoever ends up beating her in the tournament, assuming she doesn't win it all, if she loses in this tournament and the person that doesn't, or the person that beats her doesn't win the whole thing, will have a claim to take on Liv for her title. So maybe that's how they'll do
is
this.
that
But
your
like,
way?
it's
That'd be the smartest thing they can do with it.
Are we
It's fun, but it's
propositioning? Is this a proposition for a certain stipulation for
Oh,
that
God.
winner, and then the
I
final
almost just threw
winner
my glasses.
for the
Every
queen, the
week.
actual queen of the ring?
Every week. How does he do it? How does he do it? Seriously, how does he
I'm just
I
curious
don't know.
about what direction.
Dev,
Juice was
this
going in.
behavior won't get
I
you to
thought
What, you
replace
mean that
Adam.
it's going to be you think it's going to be a triple threat?
I think it's gonna be a triple threat.
I'm a big fan of multi-person matches, to be fair. They can be, if done correctly.
A triple threat. Is there another name you can call triple threat?
A three-way?
A three-way dance. That's what
Three-way
ECW used to
dance?
call it.
Shout out
Yeah.
Kevin Nash.
Every time I hear saying a triple threat in a question, I think of Michael Cole whenever Rollins cashed in on Lesnar and Roman. A triple threat match, because he's like, what the hell? The match just changes in the middle of the match. Like, yeah, who knows what they're gonna do with Liv? I guess they just kind of book themselves into a corner, but like let Chelsea Green maybe get the pin on Liv and then have her be like, hey, I could be.
You
someone.
think
Like,
they're
what the hell are we
going to
doing?
push Chelsea Green?
No, that's what I would do.
The problem,
Not-
the
not
problem
them.
is, Drew. The problem is that Liv Morgan.
They're gonna push Chelsea Green.
Yeah, but sorry, Chelsea Green is basically the female version of LA Knight in that she's got herself over
By losing.
herself, despite everything, and that's why I don't think they're going to
there's
push her in the way that they
levels to
should
this,
do.
I mean, but
That
but
man,
I-
that man took 30-second promos with no matches and turned it into the loudest pops of the night.
I mean, true, but like that, yeah. But
Then
you
the
know,
bell
Hannibal,
rings.
since you
We'll talk about that in Star Power later.
or Hannibal or Juice Squared, as we'll call you today. I thought that would
The
get
Juice
you.
United Kingdom.
But what did you happen to catch? You know, because Raw was on a good time for you. It's afternoon here, so it's a good time for you. What do you? Because Juice brought up a good point that they're kind of in a holding pattern, and I really like that up until their next pay-per-view. That's what it feels like for me, because Roman doesn't have a challenger right now. Cody kind of has one, but I mean, whatever, right? I don't. So am I too early, or do you agree? Do you think that they are kind of in a holding pattern?
Yeah, they kind of are in a holding pattern, but then I think this is I don't think it's a WWE issue. I think it's a wrestling issue when you have pay-per-views or PLEs as regularly as you do, right? Because Juice is obviously younger than me. Everyone is. But there was a time where you didn't get pay-per-views every 3 or 4 weeks. You'd get them a few times a year. And, TV would be a good way of progressing stories in that space. But now you have such a short turnaround sometimes between a Saturday Night's Main Event and a PLE that I don't think they can. I don't think they can manage the TV time particularly well. But again, it's not just a WWE problem. AEW have the same problem as well sometimes, where you just feel that you're just waiting for the next event to happen where something significant can. The only difference I think between, and maybe this is something WWE should kind of look at a bit more is AEW. You probably see more title changes on TV than you do on WWE. It's very rare nowadays to see a title change. I mean, and again, it's not like AEW does it that frequently, but what I mean is that you might see it 3 or 4 times a year. Titles change hands on TV rather than at a pay-per-view. And maybe that's what they need to start doing more on WWE. And they do it, but just not as frequent. And they've got big rosters and they've got, you know, a lot of TV time. And I just don't think it's very productive at the moment.
And I think I love the way that you said it's very productive because, you know, I feel like we're close to getting to a point where people aren't going to care about Jacob Fatu. Because you say it's not productive, right?
Well, I think the longer things go, maybe, because this whole story seems to be Bloodline Roman versus Bloodline Solo with Jacob Fatu in the tug of war. And if to me, they probably are like, well, let's see if we can stretch this to War Games, you know, and then who knows what comes after that, because I don't know what their WrestleMania plans are. Maybe Jacob Fatu could win the Royal Rumble and avenge something. Like, there's a lot that could be done, but we're so far away from that. So I don't know if it could be productive.
Yeah, that's a great point. But Graps, I'm going to let you kind of, you know, because you said this was the 23rd consecutive week Raw. And that's that, you know, joking or not, I think that it says something, like, because it's going to go in what we're going to talk about later in that star power, right? And how stars like CM Punk, stars like Oba Femi, stars like Roman Reigns have carried them through this. But you, like many other particular fans, kind of see through it. And so what did you see? You know, you saying, again, joking or not, this was a week Raw. What did you see through this week? What were some of the weak points that you could possibly point out?
We are on year 6 of this Bloodline story. For context, when it started, I was 17. I was still a child. When
I didn't realize that it's been this long.
The NWO formed in 96. By 02, they broke up how many times, and they were just now doing it in WWE. Like, you know, they had NWO 2000 in the middle of it.
Which, by the way, is the greatest iteration of the NWO. I don't care what anybody says. The black and silver is great. Having Bret Hart in the NWO was great. I don't care. Argue with the wall.
Listen,
he would argue with the wall too,
so I'm cool with it.
As soon as Bret Hart got introduced into that NWO, he was already concussed and practically had to retire. So I don't know how much of the NWO 2000 he really remembered.
Lloyd's of London, Bret Hart. Anyways. But yeah, we are on year 6 of it. The main crux of this Jacob Fatu now having to bend the knee was already a proponent of the story played in 2020 when I was 17 with Jey Uso. If I want to watch that, I'll just go back and watch that, and I don't want to watch that. Mainly because of Jey Uso.
We talk privately. We talk privately all the time. You kind of made this. You said this is just like Sami Zayn in a different form.
Yeah, we're having the friction between Jey Uso and Jacob Fatu. Jey Uso had friction with Sami Zayn, so we're playing the Jey Uso friction of the right hand man again with someone who he thinks is coming from. We're doing it again.
It's a little different because they're family, though. I think they'll try to portray it as something bigger because Sami Zayn wasn't
they're going to try and do it like a little bit different, yes.
Yeah.
But the main overarching theme is something that's being run again over on SmackDown. They're teasing Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax again. This time for a lower tiered championship.
Damn, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
It's time.
But there is one other problem though, and that is because I mean the thing is I think it's very fair to point out the similarities between the NWO and the Bloodline in terms of something that just feels like it just kept getting, you know, pushed further and further into the ground after it had run its course. But the difference between the Bloodline and that is that the NWO didn't have Hulk Hogan have a multi-year title reign during it.
Mm-hmm. A multi-year title reign that for over a year of that, over a quarter of it, the champion was part-time.
Yeah.
Which artificially extended its run.
Yeah, but I know the other thing as well is that with the NWO, it wasn't just Hogan that was over. Not everyone in the NWO was over, admittedly, but it wasn't just one person. Whilst in the Bloodline, no one really cares about anyone else. Yes, don't get me wrong, the crowd are going to yeet.
Yeah. It's Jay, but not as much Jimmy. Jay's over, but he's over outside of the bloodline, so that's really not that fair. Same with Roman. Like both those guys are over without being in this story, but everybody else seems to be put in the background. And Jacob Fontaine, I fear, could go back there. I don't want him. He's a great star on his own. He doesn't need to be a part of this.
I think there's one person that this bloodline story was mainly made to get over, right? That was supposed to fight the bloodline and help them to get over, and it was Cody. And look at him now. They took all that momentum to where he's getting the Cena-like reaction of you don't know whether he's going to get cheered or, decent cheers or booed out of the building.
You know what's so funny? I'm glad you brought that up because they're about to reheat those old nachos too. Because why would you? I don't care that Roman and Cody cross paths. I don't care. I don't care.
But I think I understand why they're doing it, right? You said we were talking about we don't know if this event's going to happen. But what do they do now every year at Crown Jewel? Champion versus champion.
Oh, did they do that? Did they do that though last year? Because I thought the same thing was going to happen last year
with Cody and Gunther, and Cody beat Gunther.
Yeah. Okay, because I thought they didn't have it last year. Because I was thinking this.
No, because they had Stephanie and
Yes, Stephanie McClure and because she won. Oh my God, who did she face? I can't remember who she faced.
Was it Tiffany?
Yeah, I want to maybe.
Yes, it was Tiffany. Yes,
Tiffany Stratton. Yeah.
So yeah, so okay. You know what? So before we move on to some of the AEW side of things, and I kind of want to sprinkle some TNA for the first time here.
Crown Jewel was in Perth last year. That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they had to have a different title because they couldn't have the one over from Saudi Arabia because
and it was Seth Cody because they had to run that match into the ground again.
Your insurance wouldn't cover it.
Do you guys think that is there a chance that Roman goes after Cody in that title, or like are we really going to run it back? Like are we? Is time a flat circle here?
I will say this: if he goes after the title, then you were creating the same problem you created during his first run, the chance of unifying the belts and having one champion across two shows. Or
this might go ahead.
If you have Cody beat Roman again, it's a Cody that fans aren't nearly as invested in as they were at Mania 40 and at Mania 39. When Roman is clearly the hotter guy.
I think we're at a point where because I mean, look, I wanted to see Cena Rock 3, but we never got it, right? Mm-hmm. So I would like to see because I'm looking forward to Oba Brock 3 because trilogies can be cool, but with Roman Cody, I'd like to see that as well. But at this point, because they've been champion for so long, it almost feels like if Cody Roman 3 has to happen, I'd like for it. I think it has to happen at WrestleMania because the first two happened there. But I almost think that a title involved means
there shouldn't be.
It should almost be.
It's not about who's champion. It's about who's the better individual.
The star. Yeah. I think both guys should probably lose the titles before they have that match because then it's a bigger match by default. Then it's almost like a Cena Rock where it doesn't matter. Titles don't matter.
That's one of the few matches that can happen at Mania that can main event without the title.
And I think it could because then, opens it up. I mean, who could be champion if Cody and him aren't champion? Anybody. It's been
you know who I would say
for a majority here. Yeah.
It's been Cody and Roman for the past 6 for the entirety of the bloodline. Yeah.
Punk was in there for a little bit, and who else held the title? I mean, Drew McIntyre for 5 seconds.
Drew McIntyre, Gunther, and Jey Uso.
Yes,
I just need to push back because you said what did you say about trilogies?
Oh, I'm just saying I wanted to see Have you been calling me Drew the whole time?
No.
I've been saying, I said Cena and Rock, I wanted to see their third match. Oba, Brock, I'm cool to see their third match. I like trilogies in wrestling whenever it's kind of spaced out or obvious that a trilogy will happen. Whenever I can tell that the fourth match is going to happen, I'm kind of out on it because it's the allure of getting that third match.
It's okay because you specified wrestling. Because I was going to say, if you're talking trilogies, then The Godfather and Star Wars need to have a word with you. But I mean,
they've made so many more afterwards too. That's where it kind of loses it. Like
exactly,
Cody Roman 9 doesn't hit as much as Cody Roman 1 or 2.
But the thing that you said there was quite interesting because and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Rock Austin 3 non-title?
Yes, and both guys were arguably bigger than they'd ever been. And it ended up being Austin's kind of like last match, but they didn't advertise it like
that. I think only he knew at the time it was going to be his last match. I don't think he
him and Rock
open about
Rock
it.
Yeah, and Rock knew too, but it kind of they lucked out with it being every other year too, 15, 17, 19. And I think again, it just kind of happened that way. I mean, now we almost have to manufacture things because everybody knows everything about all these guys, and we know when they're leaving and contracts and everything.
And you know something too, Juice? With that trilogy, they were so different at each point, right? They played different roles.
For sure.
Yeah,
and
like we were talking about the idea of Roman Cody 3. How are Roman and Cody different from their last match or their first match?
They'd have to drop the titles.
I ain't gonna lie. Roman moves a little different now. When he lost that title and having to go after this one, I ain't gonna lie. Roman has been moving slightly different. I think when I say that, he leans more face.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he leans more towards a baby face, and maybe that's just surface level, and it's not good enough. And I can understand where it's not.
Like as a character.
But Cody,
he's still the tribal
chief. 3 would be a split crowd more than
table.
Cody being overly cheered, I think, at that point.
Yes. And that's where I think the money is. If you can have a split crowd, if you can have a Rock Hogan moment.
I don't think there should be a split crowd. It should be fully in Roman's favor.
By the time it happens, it probably would. Because people are starting to on Cody.
But I think the problem is with both of them is they're so overexposed at this point. Like, allegedly the reason why the bloodline is still being pushed as it is because of Ari Emanuel loves the bloodline. I mean, I'm sure he loved the money the bloodline were making for the company, but he's a big fan of it. So therefore, let's push it some more. But the thing is, we've seen when Cody's been champion, the mixed reactions, and it's interesting, right? Because I don't remember Hogan getting those reactions like WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 7 so much. Like people were still kind of like really into him, and it was the kids and the adults liked Hogan. But with Cody, the kids really like Cody, the adults don't really like Cody, and I feel that people are also getting bored of Roman because he has been so overexposed. And look, I don't think their matches at Mania were particularly good, because the match, like when Roman was having that long reign, a lot of these matches were very similar. They were very formulaic. They had the same kind of thing. There was always a run in. There was always a screwy kind of finish. So he kept
always belt. A Jimmy, a Jay, or a Solo, or
adding
something.
a new bloodline member. Yeah, there's always something.
Got to collect them
all. Now they're
Oh
no, Roman's baby, so he might not have his matches. At least might be a little more clean.
I would like to see Cody Roman when it's like depending on this bloodline thing, kind of. Even saying like, oh, when it fizzles out, like they'll just run this thing into the ground and then they'll still run it into the ground. But let's say Roman, for some reason, kind of like got out, like he's been so fed up with the bloodline, or in a even more positive thinking space, we get Rock Roman at Mania next year, and then like we can put to bed the bloodline as it were, and you get Roman by himself without like the Usos can kind of do their own thing. Everybody's kind of on their own path. That versus Cody straight up no title, I think would work, because even Cody is a bad guy. I don't think it matters for either guy. I think both those guys straight up one-on-one no title would be enough for the fans to just be invested in it.
Like regardless of the story, the star power is still there.
1,000%. And the fact that other people would be on the card in world title matches would be enough for the fans to cheer Cody Rhodes and be like, hey, you guys could have this match, but you also didn't need the title. And we're happy that you guys can do that because we want to see other people have spotlight matches that are important because you got to move on. Every time you have Cody and Roman in the main event, that's great. What are you going to do in the next night? You got to have the future planned out. And these guys aren't getting any younger. So,
one thing, as we move on, great points by everybody. But one thing I just wanted to really point out is Hannibal, you said overexposure. And a reason why I want to just point that out is because that's gonna play a part into what we're going to be talking about a little bit later, and that is, the how powerful is star power. But really quickly, we're not the biggest numbers guys, we don't really talk numbers and whatnot, but there was a report, and this is probably the first time on this program where we've mentioned them, but TNA seems to be struggling to sell tickets a little bit. I'm not here to kind of down on anybody's parade or say, ha ha, LOL TNA, no. But I do want to ask the question to you gentlemen. It's been some good time now, right? Is this partnership really truly benefiting TNA? Like, I know it's kind of a dumb question. Maybe it's an oxymoron, but like,
I think you guys know where I stand. I'm gonna go get a drink.
You would think that like this being a kind of tentpole event for TNA, that hey,
Slammiversary?
Yeah, you should be moving tickets.
Well, I think it's very telling. We talked a little bit about this last night on Light the Fuse because somebody brought it up. I think it's very telling that Carlos Silva was very upset with AEW for having Forbidden Door the same day as Slammiversary. Because if you remember, Slammiversary, I think, got announced on the Friday and Forbidden Door got announced on the Monday. And the reason why was because the venue Forbidden Door, I can't remember where it is now, but the venue Forbidden Door is taking place in, they had SmackDown. And they couldn't announce it until after WWE had been in there for SmackDown. So that's why there was a few days delay. But Carlos Silva was very upset and said, like, I think it's really bad they're doing their pay-per-view the same day that we are. Only for NXT to also be doing a PLE the very same day.
We don't even know where that is, by the way. I've been waiting to see where the location for Great American Bash is. Unless you guys have seen it, I have not. They just said it's on the CW.
But I mean, it could just be in the Performance Center. I mean, they've only got
sure, but they've been, but they say where it's going to be. If it's a 1,500 seat place, they'll sell that out. Which, to a point, that's the problem. TNA could announce something for 1,500 people and may not get it. That's why the Impact Zone was great. It was 900 people, but they sold that bitch out every time.
I love the Impact Zone, and I love the price of tickets there, gratis. But I think the problem is there was a lot of fanfare.
That's where Advocate is waving to us from. Is the Impact Zone every Thursday.
There was a lot of hype about the partnership. A lot of people saying that the WWE partnership with TNA was far better than the one for AEW. But if we break it down, they've taken 2 of their world champions. They're possibly taking a third. If the rumors today about Santana are to be believed, that'd be 3 world champions they've taken. They don't exchange talent in the same way that they do together, right? So the people that they send down to NXT are people they don't want on WWE TV for whatever reason. They're not sending over names or anything. It's a very one-sided partnership, and I think it's very telling that I'm not sure how big that venue is for Slammiversary. I think it's about 9,000 people. And they've sold about 2,000, I think.
TARP NA.
TARP NA.
Hey, maybe what they should do is find a smaller venue and just do what WWE did at Mania 7 and claim like terrorist threats.
Well, if Dev was here, we could blame him. But it's a very weird situation. And the thing is, and again, I was saying this last night about another point. No one should be celebrating it, and I know we're not. I know that's not why you're asking the question. But the thing is, we should want wrestling companies to thrive, because the more wrestling companies that are out there, the more opportunity there are for wrestlers. But this TV deal financially is crippling them. The fact that the other way a company makes money is on ticket sales, and they're not selling tickets, is a concern. You're getting 200,000 people watching your product a week, and you can't even sell, a tenth of the tickets for one of your biggest shows of the year. That is a massive problem. And when you already need cash, that's not going to help your cause.
Juice, do you think that maybe NXT should send some more talent? Like, what would help this partnership? What do you think would help?
I think the partnership has gone well for TNA's roster, because some of those guys have gotten to go to WWE. And I think WWE sees TNA as NXT that we can partner with instead of NXT that we own. They can get the best of both worlds, and they can run it's like if AEW didn't own Ring of Honor, but they worked with Ring of Honor. It's like, all right, we're going to poach some of your guys maybe, but we'll promote you. We'll talk about your shows. We'll have inter-promotional stuff sometimes.
It's like OVW with a TV deal.
Exactly. There's wrestlers that will benefit for sure, but TNA as a whole, it's tough to. I would like to see. Well, I'd like to see that happen, but then not acknowledge it with NXT of like, maybe NXT guys can go to TNA if they're not being used all the time. I mean, is that the worst thing in the world? Do they have to sign a contract with TNA to be involved with them? Like, no. Like,
I think it depends on the usage, right?
True.
Like,
and I don't know where the
Ariana Grace was the Knockouts champion, and she was barely used on NXT. Now I don't know when the last time she had a match on television was. She's mainly used as a valet for the Birthright.
Yeah, which by the way, I don't like that name.
A little bit of a dog whistle.
Yeah, a little that is a couple of dog whistles. I'm just saying, like, my brother, I don't really like that name.
I'm getting 2025 El Grande Americano flashbacks.
What do you mean it's your birthright? I mean, what do you mean by it? No.
Look, I live under a monarchy, so I don't.
Where
really
were you on
like
January 6th? Lexus King.
Well, not getting the slush fund anymore. But I don't know. Because I want to love TNA again. I was a guy who I was there for the weekly pay-per-views. I was there for Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, K Quick, See You at the Alamo. I was there for all of it, right? And I want TNA to be good, but I feel like they're, for Mark, excuse my language here, I feel like they're just whoring themselves out, right? They're.
Do you say you want to love TNA again? There's an establishment that sort of has a very similar, feeling and idea and purpose to what TNA was originally. It's called All Elite Wrestling. It has a bigger budget. TNA now is the antithesis of what it was made to be.
And that's a great way to segue, because, man, last night, mixed reviews, mixed feelings on last night's Dynamite. Some people were like, some people were, on the other side. I want to hit some of the highlights because I definitely want to get into talking about star power. But so some of the highlights from last night. First off, I want to say MJF is amazing. The Bull Matador outfit when you're facing Roosh, chef's kiss. Absolutely amazing work by MJF. That match itself, good God. That's probably for me my top. That is my number 3 favorite MJF match. Easily my number 3. That was a very, very good match. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But before we get into that, so one of the things that's kind of really got people divided is there's a new Don Callis family member, and his name is Kevin Knight. Some people love it. A lot of people hate it.
Who loves it?
Good point.
This guy right here. I can tell.
I am a person who, I'll say this. It's not that I love it. I'm a wait and see guy. I'm willing to wait and see.
True, but we've seen how many people enter that family and what's come out of it. They have to like be above it already, like Takeshita, or like they have to be so much further than.
I'll give you one.
A team member.
I'll give you one. Mark Davis. Mark Davis has shown Mark Davis is doing great work. Some of the best.
I don't think you should mention Mark Davis's
rear end
showing his ass.
Dougzilla's Dumbzilla.
But no, Mark. I would say Mark Davis, and then obviously before injury, and hopefully now that he's back, Jake Doyle.
I would have gone Kyle Fletcher. I feel like that's a much better in terms of going into the family and coming out a lot better.
Okay, yeah, because Kyle Fletcher was all like, if you knew Graps, you knew, he gonna beat something.
But yeah, listen, you have to be watching Ring of Honor every week.
Yeah, you would have had to been watching Ring of Honor. You would have had to watch old New Japan from
No, not even like his old tag tape with Davis. Like, yeah, he was a great wrestler, but if you looked at him, right, there's a reason the look is important. He didn't have the look until he bulked up.
He bulked up, went shaved head, and now
I saw when he grew out that hair. He looked like he went from Kyle Fletcher to Kyle from Accounting.
A hair Kyle Fletcher won't hurt you. A hair Kyle Fletcher won't hurt you. A hair Kyle Fletcher, because that is
not real.
That is a scary sight. That person didn't look real. I'm not gonna lie. That looked AI. When I first saw Kyle Fletcher with his beard growing out and his hair, I was like, dude, is this AI? Like,
for a second, I started calling him Kyle O. Fletcher.
But some people don't. I'm a wait and see guy. I kind of like it because I'll put it to you like this. This is where I'm at with the IWC, and I want to pass it to you guys after this. He comes out first week as a heel, and they say, "Oh, he's weak. His promo skills aren't great. That wasn't a great promo." Okay, cool. Well, let's put him with a guy who can cut promos for him, and put him with the non-Callis.
See, I vehemently disagree. I actually thought his promo was solid enough, and the fact that they felt the need to give him a mouthpiece a week later shows me that they're like, maybe he's not that great on the mic. But I think that he did well for himself. You can only put people with a mouthpiece for so long before at some point they got to do something. Like, I know Roman's maybe not the best, but he started out with Dean Ambrose being the guy for the Shield. He was never really going to talk. And then he had like horrific years as he was trying to come up.
He was just there to say believe in the Shield.
Exactly. Once he became a heel with Paul Heyman, he had Heyman to start, but Roman really came into his own after a while. Like, sometimes it takes time, and they gave Kevin Knight 1 week by himself, and then there's like, you know what? Here's Don Callis. Get muddied up in that NWO.
Yeah,
and that's so. This is where me personally, I kind of want the Don Callis family to kind of fracture off. Like, give me Don Callis family Mexico with Andrade, Clone.
Just watch CMLL.
Zero.
Give me
the multi-mans they have there. Great.
Give me Don Callis family West, which would be what I would say Trent Beretta, Roppongi Vice, and whoever, and Brian Cage, whatever. I don't know. Like, let's break this up, so we can kind of have some clear. I don't mind the NWS type, let's just add a bunch of people, because hell, that's great to me. One of the biggest differences is they don't have merch. I think once the Don Callis family starts having merch, then we have a problem. But I'm not hating this. As far as like they're not wearing Don Callis family shirts or something. But like I'm not hating this because I'm willing to wait to see what happens. But Juice, you brought up a good point. They literally waited 1 week and put him with.
They didn't wait and see. Why should we?
Why should we? That's a good point. Hannibal, I'll start with you. What do you think of Kevin Knight joining the family?
I mean, yeah, I understand the wait and see element. It's just what are we expecting from this? Really, what are we expecting from this? there's a lot of people in the Don Callis family who haven't moved an inch since joining the Don Callis family. Like, they haven't got any better, not in ring, I mean in terms of stature, right? They're people that are the exact same place they were when they first joined 4 years ago or whatever it was. It seems to be a holding pen for a lot of people, and I don't know what the aim is here, and I think that's the thing. It's come out of the blue. Like, there's been no kind of real, story that was going on that was leading towards this might be an option for him. So he's just been shoehorned in there, and for what purpose? All they seem to do is want to have belts, but they also want to win belts from the people that have got belts, who are also members of the same group that they're in. So it all just seems a bit. And look, I don't hate the concept of the Don Callis family. And I find Don Callis himself as a character very entertaining. But if you're trying to make a new star, which they're clearly trying to do, was putting him in the Don Callis family the right thing? If you wanted to put him with someone else, why not Nano and Swerve? I'm trying to think what other kind of factions there are at the moment. There's not really
FTR,
the Death Riders, but do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel it just feels like the easy option. They've taken the easiest path with least amount of resistance, and for
it's
what?
the formula.
Because Don Callis isn't even going to be his mouthpiece, right? Really, like, Don Callis doesn't cut like long promos.
Well, I think they're going to elevate him. Like, I think the main players, if you ask me, of the Don Callis family will be Okada, Fletcher, and now we have Kevin Knight.
But now he goes from feeling like a star of his own creation to the Takeshita replacement.
Right.
Oh, we lost. We need another guy in here. I think it's almost formulaic in terms of, there's a big heel. Let's get him with the Don Callis family. Because most of the big heels that aren't MJF or Swerve, they're with the Don Callis family. Because Jon Moxley doesn't believe in the, babyface heel spectrum.
And what's Kevin Knight done? To your point, what's Kevin Knight done? He attacked Darby after he lost the belt.
He attacked Darby. He cut a promo. Had a face-to-face with Callis, Fletcher, and Takeshita. Not Takeshita, MJF. And then the next week, he joins the Don Callis family, which is revealed in a post-match promo. I think the main issue for me is, if you want to make him a star, you got to give him some breathing room, right? Because now he's got to compete in the Don Callis family for screen time with Okada and Fletcher and Andrade and all these other guys, right? Mark Davis.
He's already a champion. Like, you'd think he'd be defending the title on his own accord, or not just muddied with this.
He just betrayed Speedball to end a tag team, to end an alliance. But what did they do with Shawn Michaels when he turned on Jannetty? They didn't have a dangerous alliance to put him in. He was on his own, except for, when he had Sensational Sherry, but he wasn't a part of a big group. He was allowed to shine on his own and allowed to develop himself as a character week to week. And I think it's a little harder when you're competing with, all these top of the line guys. Not to say Kevin Knight isn't, but it's a lot easier when, you don't have to compete with them. Like, don't get in your own way.
Yeah.
It was interesting as I was watching him come out and talk with Don. I'm just thinking it's very apropos, considering we were talking NWO and Bloodline and longevity of certain things. It's at what Don Callis family has emerged over the last couple of years as the most steady heel faction. The Death Riders have been both face and heel.
They're the second coming of the Dangerous Alliance.
With more people. I wouldn't say second coming, because the Dangerous Alliance had 5 or 6 of some of the best wrestlers.
It also only lasted.
We
for
only
6
cheer
months.
for the Death Riders.
Exactly.
The Death Riders have always been heels. but we just
But-
started
True.
hearing.
But functionally,
True.
they're the second coming because they can go all throughout the card. If you need like a
Okay.
multi-man or a big singles, it's all throughout there.
Sure. I mean, I could maybe look at it that way, but I just I hate the I don't hate, but anytime there's a it's the new version of the or it's it's the the new rockers or whatever. But I'm like, before you get to that, Hannibal, but it's like me looking at the Don Callis family, I'm like, they've been around for so long. What will it look like? Well, first of all, how long will it go? Like, will Don Callis still be doing this? And like Bobby Heenan did it for how long, right? But it felt like forever. Don Callis has actually been doing this for like 2 or 3 years.
When Don Callis moves on to the
leaves?
next life, it's
But
still
will-
going to be the
well.
Don Callis family and tribute.
True. Right, but how long can he go? And then I'm thinking, will other factions get even created in the time from now until Don Callis like leaves or does something else? Because otherwise, this is the only true
the Don Callis extended family.
It's like the only true heel faction that's had the same staying power. They add some of the top guys so that they never really go down in the order. Yeah. It's the only place to go if you're not a babyface.
That is a very good point. And that's go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, to what you were saying, like, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but when Don Callis recruited people like Fletcher, like Takeshita, like Okada, not so much Okada, but it was the kind of reason for them doing it is because Don Callis was like, I'm going to make you a champion.
Right.
If you join the family, you are going to succeed. You are going to be a champion. And that's what happened with Fletcher. That's what happened with Takeshita. Kevin Knight's already a champion.
I know.
What is the benefit of joining the Don Callis family now when you are the champion? I know he said like, "Oh, well, I want another belt." Yeah,
right.
Okay,
In theory, that works. But is he immediately going to challenge for the world title next week?
No.
He
already did.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how much, if you're a champion and you go to the guy that can bring you championships, unless you plan on dropping the title for your manager purely to go for a bigger title, which makes very little sense. I don't get it. And it just seems like they're just adding it because let's make sure everybody in the building knows Kevin Knight is a heel. And the only way to do that is by putting him with Don Callis. And I just think that's
like, are they not confident?
It's kind of lazy.
It's very lazy.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is. I would have rather seen, to be honest with you, I would have rather seen Kevin Knight beat Speedball's ass randomly and turn on him on an episode of Dynamite than shoehorn him in attacking Darby at the end of a pay-per-view. That's my feeling. Because I felt like it was so rushed, and I'm like, this is cool. Like, they're doing an angle for the next show. But why wouldn't he just turn on Speedball, the guy who we associate with, on an episode of Dynamite? That'd be a huge angle to close the show. That'd be great TV.
Or if you're not confident he could get booed, why turn him?
Well, people thought Speedball was the easy one to turn, but I like that Kevin Knight was the one that they chose.
So one thing I want to bring up, and this is, Dev, I'm going to lecture you because I want to hear from you right now, is that there is inherent tension between Kevin Knight and Kyle Fletcher. Kevin Knight holds something that Kyle Fletcher has said that he wants back. Not just once, but he wants back. So I say, could this be a wild, and this is a wild take, but could this be maybe a possible, like, red herring that, like, maybe he's not really in the family? Maybe they're only bringing him in to bring the title closer to Kyle Fletcher? Is that a possibility? Do you think, Dev? And overall, what do you think about Kevin Knight joining the family?
I think that sounds kind of brilliant, honestly. I didn't think about that. I do think they rushed his heel turn. He didn't, like, everyone was pretty much saying that he didn't get a chance because while he was a former champion, trios champion, he was always attached to a faction. As himself alone, it felt like maybe a month. It didn't feel like a whole run with Kevin Knight, the TNT champion. So yeah, it would have been nice to have the chance to get to know him,
Yeah, to see him. Yeah. because we're not even letting him get comfortable on the mic. Like, one thing I can say about WWE is that, you know, they forced Roman out there, you know, and it was either sink or swim, and we saw him learn how to swim. We got to see him drown a few times, you know, work on his butterfly stroke, but like it was sink or swim. I feel like they, you know, kind of like what you said, they threw the life preserver out very quickly with Kevin Knight. One promo.
I also think natural baby faces are super rare, and he was really convincing. He was really easy to root for. I think he was a main star.
As soon as he came in, everybody was like loving him.
But I think that's also why you turn him, is because of all of that. You know?
Yeah, you do, just not like that. You know, not that fast.
Why wouldn't he beat his? The Darby thing. I know that they're going to set up that match, and maybe that's where Darby can win the TNT title, and then Kevin Knight can fulfill the I'm going to win a bigger championship by being with Don Callis, or more than likely just be shuffled back into the, you know, midst of everything. When again, I feel like him turning on Speedball would have been a lot more effective.
Well, it's already pretty much canon that Kevin Knight, Kyle Fletcher, both contenders for the title, both have been in the title picture at some point in their young careers. So with the rivalry unfolding the way that it does, potentially intertwining with the champion, the two of them at the same time, possibly formulating a certain stipulation, I think is on the cards for one of the next pay-per-views.
It's something I would like. I mean, Kevin Knight.
You would like to see, you and me both would like to see Kyle Fletcher versus Kevin Knight versus MJ.
Oh, no. No. Just give me Kyle Fletcher.
Stop it right there.
Kevin Knight. Yeah. No.
But I do have a question.
Winner take all would be that.
What's up, Graf?
Because I feel like there's a good bit of negativity on the decision for Kevin Knight to join the Don Callis family, right? Do you guys think he has the star power to overcome it?
Yeah,
and that is a great way to, you know, I was literally just
probably. Well, can I add one positive thing to it?
Go ahead.
Wait, we're being positive here.
Sometimes, you know, here and there.
It's not fun. Doesn't get the views.
Everybody has had a manager. Like, who was the gentleman at HBK's Iron Man match with Bret Hart?
Jose Lothario.
Yeah, like he had a lot of people by his side, and
true.
I don't think that's a bad thing for. And he was a natural. You know, he was a natural, and he still had like these valets that enhanced him. And I think Don Callis really can do that for Kevin Knight. I just think it was a bit excessive.
That right, and I think the other problem is that there's so many other clients that Don Callis has. If Don Callis had like 2 or 3 other guys, I'd feel a little bit better about how things would be going with Kevin Knight in his singles run. But like I said, I feel like there's a whole other crop of people that Don Callis already manages that might take precedent over Kevin Knight, unless, you know, I agree, let it play out. Maybe this thing can progress further. I know that it's probably going to be Darby versus Kevin Knight sooner than later. So see what happens after that. I'm not gonna rule anything out, but I could see where you're coming from, Dev.
So as we transition and get to kind of the last segment of the show, I'm glad we talked a lot about Kevin Knight, because I see Kevin Knight as a star. And when I see a star, I told the guys this, you know, if you've ever heard that saying, it's in you, not on you, right? Kevin Knight's star power and stardom is in him. It's not everything that's around him. He came in a star. He walked like a star. He moved like a star. His moveset is like a star. And I believe when it's in you, not on you, when you have the ability to be a star no matter where you are, I think that can transcend bad creative. I think that can transcend a bad environment, so on and so forth. And there are a lot of examples, a lot of great examples of star power powering through what you may view as bad creative or what you may not agree with. And, I want to get to it because he's on the thumbnail, and that is Obafemi. Obafemi lost to Brock Lesnar in what was, to me, a pretty hard-hitting match. What on No Dirt, I said 6 F5s. It was, 7?
7.
You know what I mean?
Well,
yeah.
6-7.
6-7, yeah. And he comes out, that same night, everybody, oh my God, some people were calling for Triple H's job.
They still are.
And they still are.
I was for that, to be fair.
To be fair.
PLE, the Paul Levesque era.
Listen, I didn't call for his job. I just dreamed the WWE creative on the show.
But he comes out the next night and destroys people in the middle of his entrance. And everybody's like, nope, never mind. I forgot. Nope, Obafemi's great. Nope, never mind. And I feel like that, to go to across the street to the other side, we'll talk Kevin Knight. I feel like Kevin Knight's the same way. He comes out, everybody was like, oh my gosh, he had this terrible promo. And then he has this banger match with Speedball. And everybody's like, oh, no, never mind. He's a star. No, never mind. The power of being a star, I think, carries way more than what people like to give credit for. And when I say it's in you, not on you, because they can make you look like a star, but if you don't have it here, it doesn't matter. Juice, you are a wrestling historian. I love, how your knowledge and your wealth of, of who you know and what you know. What you can do in that, do you have, as we go into this conversation, do you have any examples of where star power has powered through bad creative, where someone has stayed popular or maintained their status on the card because of who they are, because of what they bring to the table? Do you have any? Again, you're a historian.
Sure. There's a lot of examples, even in recent WWE, and I know that people will say, well, the creative had no choice but to pivot, but the Cody Crybaby thing, Kofi at WrestleMania 35, Daniel Bryan leading to WrestleMania 30, Zack Ryder in 2011, getting so over. Well, he was super over, and they were not giving him anything.
But then they continued to not give him anything, and where did it go?
Well, sure, but he won. They capped him at he won the United States title at TLC 2011, and he was still he had not been getting over, and all of a sudden, at Madison Square Garden, they were wanting him out there, and all these things. So throughout time, there definitely have been guys and girls too. It's tougher to kind of maybe pick, but Becky Lynch, even she was a star regardless, and then they're doing this bullshit Raw versus SmackDown thing they always did at Survivor Series, and one forearm goes into her nose from Nia Jax, and all of a sudden she's just going to be bigger than the entire division.
But even before that, when she turned on Charlotte, that's when it really started.
And you never know when it's going to happen, but there's always some moments that will just transcend what creative has for you or lack thereof, and they can become. That's what I kind of hope with LA Knight is he's still over as hell. His music and people go crazy whether they push him or not, and that's what I said earlier of he's over not because necessarily of WWE outside of creating the theme song, and that's why WWE doesn't put him over. It's we're not going to give him the energy.
LA Knight was just on Van Vliet. It just got uploaded this morning, and he himself said, "Yeah, the reactions are down a little bit because the character's aimless. It's directionless." Now, if you give it a direction, the reactions will come back up.
Yeah, and he's been in some higher profile matches. He had a Roman title match. He was in a Fatal 4-Way huge match. He's in some of these qualifiers. I think it's tough. For those of you who are familiar with American football, it's very tough to win the Super Bowl as is, right? And you're right. And currently, you got guys like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, all these great quarterbacks who may never even get to a Super Bowl, let alone win one, because Patrick Mahomes is in the league. So it's if a bunch of you guys are great, if LA Knight is a great character, But you got Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and CM Punk came back to the company, and all these guys are taking these spots. As long as they're there, it's
brother going on.
It's going to be very difficult to find your way organically into a spot outside of injury. So that's why you kind of have to stay hot and stay as a star. And that's where I love people like Chelsea Green. Be over without getting over. Like, you can still be over losing every match. And LA Knight, I think, is very much in that realm of like, no matter what happens to you, he's still going to be super hot, super over. And wait your turn. It will happen. Hopefully. I know he's not getting any younger either. So
wait, did Triple H join the show this week? Wait your turn. Things will come in.
Does it feel like WrestleMania season yet?
You know, but
it's all part of the show.
There's a lot to say about how, you know, star power, you know, can get you through things, because we just talked about in the beginning of the show how this Raw in WWE feels very meh. Holding pattern is something that we just said, and yet Roman is still a star. People still love Roman. You gonna tune in, you know what I mean? And so, do you guys think star power of when a certain talent raises their stock to a certain level, do you think that creative kind of lets off the gas a little bit, and it's like, oh well, I don't have to try that hard because people are gonna show up anyway?
I will say before everybody else, I want to let everybody else get the shot here, but purely with the CM Punk Roman match from WrestleMania, everybody, the fucking Orton McAfee Cody thing was so convoluted and never needed to happen. Meanwhile, Punk and Roman are like, hey, you won the Royal Rumble, you're the champion, I don't like you. We actually have history. Sold. And not only was it sold, it was night 2's main event, and then it paid off and actually was an incredible match. Sometimes they don't need to be on the gas. Just let it go. Let these guys, they know what to do. They're professionals for a reason. And that's why that match and whole program worked pretty much universally. So maybe, you know, WWE needs to learn from some of their good stuff and not just assume that they have to really dig in and figure out how to do this. Like when we watch,
you know what WWE's worst trait is?
They overthink it.
WWE's worst trait sometimes is they get in their own way.
1,000%.
And you know, and it comes at different sorts, right? Orton and Cody, very simple story. They could have just done what they did with Roman and Punk, but what do? They put in Pat McAfee and we gotta have Randy save the business, yada yada yada, and it tanked the program. A program that people have been waiting years for. They were too late to pull the trigger on, and tanked it between two of their top guys. They got in their own way there. LA Knight fans have been behind them for years, but they still haven't pulled a serious trigger on him. Yeah, they gave him a little pity U.S. title run, but outside of that, they're getting in their own way time and again. And right, you had brought up Zack Ryder, and I think the big discussion really is, can star power outweigh bad creative, right? And I think it all depends on context, because it can to an extent, right? Zack Ryder wasn't really given anything outside of the YouTube show, and he got his name chanted, you know, in MSG. Right?
Well, he did that on his own. He even says, like, beyond whatever WWE creative was doing for me, I had to do it or else it would never happen.
But they still got in their own way to the point where he could have been a solid mid-carder there for a decade plus, but he went back down to being a curtain jerker, jobber, whatever you want to call it, to where he got released by the end of the decade and have to claw his way back on the independent scene just to get a contract. And where's he now? Right back to where he was.
So Hannibal, what do you when you see star power? Name a few. Name, if you can, name a few stars right now in the industry. There's not a lot, or is there? You know, who do you think?
I have one.
Go for it, Dave.
Oh,
John Cena always got reactions throughout his whole career.
I think John Cena transcended stardom. You know, I think, you know, I think John Cena,
because people are disgusted by the PG era, but John Cena would always get reactions.
He was one of their biggest offenders.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Hannibal, who are some of the stars in wrestling right now who you think, no matter bad creative, bad production, no matter what, people are gonna love?
I mean, Samoa Joe wrestled with a penis on his face.
He did. And
that
is a good call too.
That was when we started talking about this earlier. I was like, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Like, there's a lot of wrestlers. I mean, I was thinking Orange Cassidy's a good example. Not that he had bad creative, but if you think about when the company first started, and I didn't understand the gimmick. I didn't know who he was before AEW. So I've talked before, the first time I ever saw him in that over budget battle royal they had at Double or Nothing on the pre-show, I saw a guy in the ring throwing these lane kicks who look like he didn't want to be there. I didn't understand the gimmick. And it's not that he had bad creative in AEW, but what he did was he just turned up week after week, put on matches. People started to understand the gimmick. People started to really get behind him. And to the point where they had to really push him. Again, it's not because there was bad creative, but he was not somebody who I thought was going to be, this long-running champion. And yet he was. So there's definitely a lot to be said. Somebody asked me last night on Light the Fuse about Finn Balor. And he's someone that I think suffers with bad creative. And it's because he's so good in the ring. Ricochet.
You mean Finn Balor?
Finn Balor. Ricochet's another one, right? Yes, it's, his stock has gone up since leaving WWE, right? But when he was in WWE, he was really given a short shrift. People still liked him, but it wasn't it wasn't for the attempts to try and stifle him on television with bad creative. I think what it comes down to is what you can actually do in the ring or on the mic. Because not everyone that watches wrestling is a ring person, not everyone that watches wrestling is a promo person, but you have people that are able, despite all the odds, despite all the shit stories they're given, everything like that, to turn it on when the bell rings, to turn it on when the camera turns red and they've got a microphone in their hand. So I think there's quite a few people that it actually applies to. And I think it's a testament to those people that can really, to quote Austin badly, take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad.
It's also funny you mentioned Orange Cassidy because even though he is a very sports entertainment type character, he can go in the ring, and that actually works with AEW. Danhausen wrestles, but he's not the greatest wrestler, but he's damn sure entertaining. So that's why he's been working out in WWE.
I'm so glad you brought him up because, it's been a point of contention for you and I. Where does he need to wrestle? Does he not need to wrestle?
Were you heartbroken when that first match got announced?
No,
I just never. I don't know who you're talking to because I said he never needed to wrestle.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean. Well, once he finally wrestled,
Well, they still did he doesn't need. Yeah, my point was not that I don't want to see him wrestle. It was he can make money for WWE hand over fist just by doing backstage stuff, cursing people, coming out and shooting T-shirts. And then I saw the match, and even though I did enjoy like the turnbuckle thing, and they just can't, to quote everybody, they can't get in their way here and oversaturate it, and then he'll be fine because he's been knocking it out of the park with selling merch and being on every show and all these things. If they don't oversaturate it, I think he's going to be just fine.
I mean, he uncursed the Knicks, so I might have to wait a little.
So far, so good.
That's something, and I'm glad you brought up Danhausen because that is someone who is a star without creative. And sometimes we see that. We see these kind of anomalies who don't necessarily have to wrestle, who don't really they're just an entertainment act. For example, Orange Cassidy is kind of the complete opposite, right? he's a star because he has this gimmick and he just so happens to wrestle really well. Versus it's the complete inverse where Danhausen's a star because he doesn't wrestle. Because again, if like you said, if he was oversaturated, I think his star quality would kind of come down a bit, you know. So this idea of star power is really interesting, and because as we are starting to close, I want to give you guys this question, and this one is probably the toughest one for me. Who creates the star, and who gives the star power? Is it the booking? Is it the production that creates a star? Or is it truly in you and not on you? Because Danhausen, great example, in AEW didn't work out. It just didn't work out, right? That was, I would say, is Tony's one true fumble, if there is any. It's that Danhausen didn't work out.
Him with Boom and Doom would have done hotcakes.
But now Danhausen is literally on ESPN. You know what I mean? He's in NBA locker rooms. That's a fucking star. You know what I mean? So, and I think the people gave him that. WWE didn't really do much. They didn't really have to do much. They just turn the red light on. Versus, we have a guy like, I'll say, Kyle Fletcher, who had to change his look, who had to get different music, get different gear. He had to be propped up to that TNT title scene, right? AEW helped him become a star, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to diss anything on Kyle Fletcher. A lot of it is on him. Give him his credit. But who truly makes the star? Is it the crowd? Is it the company? Juice, I would like to go to you first.
So I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. I mean, the fact that I brought up Zack Ryder earlier, he was doing okay on his own, but he was doing on the side his Long Island Ice, True Long Island story. And getting over online when that was kind of still primitive of being online in a social media sense. And WWE kind of ignored it and just didn't play up to it. And then you see them now and all they're about is social media, and it's sometimes the machine can make you, sometimes you can make yourself. If you're not getting the TV time because they don't maybe necessarily think you're worthy of it, you got to figure out some other way. And with social media, you can really go above and beyond. I mean, I know, The Miz, love him or hate him, but his biggest moment was on talking smack for some people, is him cutting a huge promo whenever he was never really supposed to be the focal point, So you never know what moment is going to pop up where, hey, if you take advantage of this, maybe more people will respect you and give you more credence. Because I gained a lot of respect for The Miz that day. I mean, he is what he is. He's a pretty safe worker, but he's very reliable and has done very well for himself for a very long time. And him cutting a promo on Daniel Bryan was oh my God, you had that in you. You never know what little thing someone could be presented with or not presented with. And if they knock out that 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute that they are given, that could change a whole perspective. And if WWE can see that, or whatever company sees that you're worth it based on something they didn't give you, then they're going to be more willing to give you that TV time on their own accord. So I think it's a mix of both. If the machine doesn't give it to you, you kind of have to do it on your own. And I think in the age of social media, it's more possible now than ever.
That's a good point, because social media, I kind of wonder what, if Twitter was really as popular, or even TikTok. I think Zack Ryder back then would have killed TikTok. Would have absolutely killed TikTok and would have been all over. Or guys like maybe another person who didn't exactly get over, but I think I'll say Steve Blackman. I think Steve Blackman's a guy who, if you gave him a little bit more, he's a star. I don't care.
You could give Steve Blackman the world and he wouldn't get over. I'm sorry, man.
His biggest moment was when he was head cheese, and that's why they immortalized that in the figure recently.
Maybe I'm a fan, just a stan. I love Steve Blackman. I think that gimmick works. I think
he had great music.
Great music.
That's where it ended. But look,
It would have been a good territory act.
And then the bell rang.
And
then the bell
rang.
But you know, I don't want to keep going back to the same person, but Danhausen, right, is the perfect example. Like, Danhausen was over before he had national exposure, right? He was already over before he appeared in AEW. He was already over before WWE were interested in him. He was great at getting social media clicks. He was great at, you know, he found a character and he became the character, and that was the gimmick, right? He was able to get that over. He was on Conan O'Brien's podcast, right? He was a nobody at that time in the grand scheme of things. Like, that's incredible. And that's because he made himself the star. And the one thing that I kind of like think about, and this will get clipped and, you know, sure people will get pissed off, but WWE don't know how to make stars anymore. I can think of two. I can think of two people they made stars. Roman Reigns.
Or it's very difficult for them to do it. They get in their own way, as we brought up.
Yeah, it's Roman Reigns and Obafemi. Because everyone else that's become a star in WWE, that's been at the top of the card or has, you know, been really popular, they have just plucked from somewhere else and dropped them in.
I'd say on the men's side, yeah. There's some on the women's that I think you're forgetting.
Trick Williams. Trick Williams is a star.
Trick,
yeah.
Or they put a cap
Rhea,
on it before it ever gets too big. Drew McIntyre, they've had, and they just kind of give him a 5-second title reign every time he gets it.
I mean, Drew made himself a star.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys about Trick, though. Y'all may not agree with me on this one, but Trick Williams is over because of his gimmick.
Right.
Like, and when I say his gimmick is he's a pimp. He's a 1970.
He's got a catchy phrase. Root that trick. That's it. That's
he's
what.
He's a 19
Memphis culture.
He's a 1970s pimp. That's his gimmick. It's very low hanging fruit, right? We all love pimp cups. We all love, you know,
but it's delicious fruit.
You know, and now I love when people say that because it's fruit. Just because it's low hanging does not mean it's not delicious. Does not mean it's not good.
But
that's a very good point. Thank you.
Let's look at NXT, right? NXT was supposed to be, you know, where people started, where they honed their skills, where they honed their characters and got moved up to TV, right? And were stars. They haven't created, like, especially on the men's side. Yes, there are a few women, you know, Tiffany Stratton's a great example of somebody who did benefit from that, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of the men don't. I mean, one of their main acts at the moment, right, is a guy who is a stereotypical Italian mobster.
Formerly.
In 2026.
Now he kind of just looks like David Finlay.
I thought it was just generic Italian guy. I'm not going to lie to
you. His character used to be Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
It went from Tony Soprano to a guy who kind of looks like David Finlay, but his hair's a little wilder and his beard's a little longer.
But look at, like, you know, so like the people that are, or some of the people that they've done that with, that I'm thinking about, Cody Rhodes, right? They literally picked him up from AEW and they dropped him into WWE. Music, look, everything, right? It was all already done. Jade Cargill, same thing. Picked her up from what she was doing in AEW, dropped her in. Ricky Saints, you know, knockoff music from when he was in AEW. Nothing's changed with him. They're not creating these personas. These people are doing them by themselves, either in other wrestling companies or, well, in other wrestling companies. What I mean is not just AEW, but they're doing it on the independent circuits, and then WWE are kind of picking those people up and dropping them in. They're not creating these characters. They're not creating these gimmicks.
They try to cultivate some people in NXT, but the ratio of people that come from NXT that become stars compared to the people that they've, quite to say what you said, plucked from other places is very imbalanced. And I think that they're trying to get more from NXT. And that's what I said earlier of, like, for the TNA roster, this has been a great partnership. You get to just roll into WWE if you want, if you get over, and that's great. You know, whatever happens that works, they're like, well, we can put it under our, like Danhausen. It's like, we know the machine. This guy's going to play and it's going to work. and they brought him in and look what happened. So, but I agree. Very few organically created stars, even with NXT as their kind of filler, as they like the farm system, if you will.
Dave, I want to go to you on this one. You've been a little, you're very introspective, but I want to ask you this specific question, and I'm going to pass on to Ryan. Do you think it's harder to make a star these days? Again, because we talk about, it's in you, not on you. I don't think a lot of people have that it factor, that it factor to be a star nowadays. Because being, wrestling has been kind of oversaturated with stars for a while. So I think it's kind of harder to find and make that star. Or what do you think? Do you think it's easier nowadays, or do you think it's a little bit more difficult?
I don't know if it's any harder than it was any other time period, because a lot of talents have the luxury of becoming a meme. You can be really bad at this and become a star or heavily pushed.
Joe
Hendry.
Look at Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry. Dan
I know
Housen.
that hurt him.
Joe Hendry, Danhausen, Orange Cassidy.
The eventual team of Hendryhausen.
And some people can say right now, Leo Rush.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we said people. You said people can be really bad at it. Leo Rush is not a bad wrestler. Let's clarify. He's like an Orange Cassidy.
No, that's not. That's not a bad,
but a bad character.
No, he's a meme.
What Leo Rush did was he learned how to generate buzz for himself by routinely being consistently interacting with social media, going viral. You have that benefit that you didn't have before. That's why I think it's
akin to
potentially easier. Yeah,
people are talking. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. They're talking, and that's kind of that's the start point, the ignition point, if you want to be big and
a star.
Our collective member Carlos made a great point some time ago. Was that and my answer is no. It's not harder to make a star. I think it's easier for the most part. And WWE isn't ready to make stars. They'll make stars when they are ready to make, because of what they have right now. They're not motivated. They're not inclined to, prop somebody up where Roman, Cody, Punk are, or even Seth sometimes. It feels like they don't even want anybody in Seth's position, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah.
I don't think they feel they need to make stars right now.
They should try. Really? They don't need to do. You're right. They don't need to do anything.
No, because it's kind of like the NBA's approach since this past collective bargaining agreement. No person or team is bigger than the NBA. That's the goal. But people talk about basketball, they want to talk about the NBA. When WWE wants people to talk about wrestling, they don't want them to talk about specific individuals. They want them to talk about WWE.
But the problem is they only talk about Cody, Roman, and CM Punk.
Exactly, that's the problem. But it's not what they're looking to do. They're looking to.
They don't see it as a problem.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
The problem is that WWE have got money literally falling out of their pockets, right? They've got this massive deal on Netflix, this massive deal on USA Network, massive deal with ESPN. Like, they can just... It's like somebody who's like... And this is a bad analogy. It's like somebody who's super intelligent and just crushes every exam at school. They don't have to put the work in. They don't have to put the effort in. They're just smart enough that they can just turn up, write the answers on a paper, and walk out the door and get an A. WWE right now don't have to do anything, because the other thing as well, and proof of this is, they put the ticket price up and people still win, is because the brand itself is so strong that you put WWE on a poster, people will turn up. They don't have to do anything. They could literally put a turd in the ring and people would pay money to go and see it. Because you know what happens
when you make more stars?
They've ask done for that on the entranceway.
No, they ask for more money.
They do, but
there's contracts, entrances,
But the issue is when this stops. Like, at the moment, like they are completely cruising because they can. Like, they don't need. I was saying this to somebody the other day, because you've got ESPN paying so much money for their PLEs, they don't have to put any effort into this stuff because they've got the money. The ratings for it are of no concern to WWE because they've got the money. They're going to be guaranteed the money. It's not when pay-per-views were pay-per-views, and this is why AEW, I think, are so focused in this way. You've got to get people to pull their credit card out and pay for that event, right? You can't just put it on and assume everyone's going to pay money for it by not booking it well. You've got to give people a reason to do it. They can put on any amount of matches on a PLE, and whether 2 million people watch it or 100,000 people watch it, it's of no concern because they have got their guaranteed money.
Hannibal, the business is down for them, yes, but because of that guaranteed money, you know how they see it? The house is warm, but they don't see the flames. Might be in another room, but they don't see it. Just feels a little warm.
Exactly. As we're about to close, I want to close out with a question for all of you gentlemen. How do you make a star? Is it do you as a talent, do you have to look inward, or do you need the machine behind you? Right? Because we talked a lot about LA Knight today, right? LA Knight's a star, doesn't have the machine behind him. Danhausen,
you just have the machine against him.
Danhausen has the machine all behind him, right? I'll go across the street. Kevin Knight, necessarily, I won't say hasn't had the machine behind him, but it's not like he's been at the top of the card. He's kind of incrementally worked his way up, versus, I'll say, Mercedes Moné, who has had all the glitz and glamour, the lights, and all of that the entire time, right? So, Juice, I want to go to you. How do you make a star in this day and age? Do you think it's difficult? Is it easy? What do you think?
I think, like I said earlier, with social media, I think it's easier for a wrestler to do it on their own, whether they're in a major company or not. I think it's the best way to get seen. I think that's somewhat, Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona got himself over by being on the independent scene, but also just sticking with doing what he wanted to do in major wrestling figure podcast and creating his own toy brand and just keeping your name out there. And he even coined this of just always ready. Like, no matter what is going on, you should always be prepared for that opportunity to present itself, because, they say you have 15 minutes of fame, but what if you have 15 seconds to make an impression to even get in the door? You got to maximize your minutes. Anything that happens, you have to be ready to go. And I think a lot of wrestlers may just scoff at that and go, oh no, I'll get over, or I'll just get in the door and they'll love me in NXT or whatever. You gotta always put your foot on the gas. You always have to assume that they don't want you, and you have to prove why they should want you. Because I think the goal is to get the machine behind you. Just getting in the door is not enough. You have to prove your worth. And I think if the machine from any company gets behind you, the sky's the limit, because for instance, Darby Allin, no matter what he does, if he ever decides to go to WWE or go anywhere else or whatever he does for the rest of his career, he has already won a world championship because of everything that he's gone through and did. And even though that may have been sacrificed a little earlier by going up on Everest, he took that chance to plant the flag for AEW, and he still got rewarded. The machine still believed in him. So whatever it takes in or out of the ring, I think for a wrestler to show not just the fans, but show the machine or those who may have power, hey, I'm worth it. Sign me or give me another shot. Give me some TV time. I can make this happen. It's there if you want it. If you want it bad enough, you can make it happen. So,
Dev, I'll go to you. Do you think it's easier or harder to become a star in this day and age?
It's easier. Just reiterating what I said just a few moments ago. With a follow-up point of being Jeff Hardy, managing to stay universally beloved his whole career, even when he was young, that was him. That wasn't too much machine. That was all his aesthetic. So It's in you. It's doesn't have to be on you. If it just so happens to, you will or won't be propelled to a very high status. Then Jeff Hardy is a good mention, and probably Rey Mysterio too, except that one Royal Rumble. I think the one everyone wanted Daniel Bryan to win. So not Rey Mysterio. He
The
gets
one
booed.
time Ray's got, that's the one time Ray's ever gotten
Just
booed in his
me.
life.
It's only me that really.
I was there. I was a part of that boo. We were booing the
Jeff
hell out of
Hardy
him.
though, for sure.
I want to go
saying
to
Boo Earns?
Boo Earns. No, they're saying Boo Earns. Let's go to Ryan, and then we'll go to Juice Square to close out the show.
When it comes to making a star, I don't think there's any set way. Sometimes it could be made by the machine, sometimes it could be made by the performer. I think the key to it is standing out. And I think the most important thing in terms of keeping a star, that's when you need the machine behind you, or at least not against you. Because LA Knight stayed a star, but the machine hasn't been behind him. But I don't think it's necessarily been against him. Like, you need faith from the people booking you to set you up in spots to succeed. Because we've seen stars on the precipice of being made legitimately, where it isn't like a fad, right? Like we talked about Zack Ryder earlier. Ultimately ended up being a fad with him because the machine wasn't behind him.
Good point. Yeah, I like
because
that.
of that. He got pushed off the stage in a wheelchair by Kane, and it's wraps. It's over. And he went back to where he was. So I think that's the key to making and being a star.
Let's Hannibal. Again, you like myself watch a lot of wrestling, so you've seen stars come and go, right? Do you think it's easier nowadays? Do you think it's harder nowadays? What do you think?
First of all, I just want to say it's been a delight to not only have Juice on here with us, but also that I was able to cosplay as him. It's been an ambition of mine, and I'm glad I was able to live my dream. But no, it's easier than ever, and yet they make it harder for themselves. I think the amount of people that WWE have tried to make stars over the years, like Kevin Thorne,
oh God,
right?
Nathan Jones.
Oh,
Nathan Jones was just he couldn't talk on the mic. That was he could do everything.
Luther Reigns.
Yeah, but hang on.
Give me some of them peas. I've had peas before.
The problem with Nathan Jones is that he had lactating nipples. That's never going to get you far in the wrestling industry.
Didn't he have a stint in TNA too?
I mean,
Matt Morgan. Speaking of TNA,
Stuttering Matt. Yeah, he still owes me a cigarette, by the way. He stole one when I worked TNA. I think I've told that story before.
You're going to have to tell me that after we get out of here.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the point is that WWE try and make. He was asking, is it the wrestler that makes themselves a star, or is it the machine that makes the wrestler a star? And what I'm trying to point out is that all of these people, Ben Bishop isn't a star. Shut up, Mark.
Shout out, Leroy, man. Shout out
501.
Leroy's a star.
Yeah, he's the Spud Man's a star. Nasty Leroy's definitely a star. But if you
the man owns a gun, so he's a star.
If you look at when a company's tried to make a star, Roman Reigns is another example, right? They tried to ram that guy down our throats, and we rejected him, right? Yes, he eventually got over, but the point is that you can try and force a star to happen, but you need the talent themselves to be able to create it, make it work, bring it to life. And you also need the system, the machine behind you to give it that final push. One doesn't work without the other. The machine can try and create a star, but it can't force a star to be made. And someone can, create something that would make them a star, but without the support of the system, it ain't gonna happen. So the answer is you really can't have one without the other. You need both things to happen. Danhausen was very successful before getting to WWE, but he has been elevated because of it, right? So that's the point. If they didn't pick him up, if they didn't push him like they have, he would still be as successful as he was before, but they have elevated him to the next level. So you need to have both things working for you to make a star.
This has been a great nuanced conversation, something that I'm pretty sure, I mean, as we've been 10 minutes over. Yeah. I love this conversation. I love you guys for joining me on this conversation. We here at the Collective want to thank you, Juice, for joining us today. Maybe if you're free, maybe we can get you in next week as well. We need another fill in. So if you're free, we'll talk. We'll see.
We'll see. I think I might be busy. I think I'm going to a ball game next week. So
nice.
I've yet to go to
a Ranger game. I've yet to go to a Ranger game this year because they fucking suck. Anyway,
Hanson Park is a great venue.
It is.
Sure,
it's
is.
a fucking beautiful venue. But we want to just say thank you, Juice, for spending your time with us to talk some wrestling. We definitely appreciate you. We also want to thank Soto for coming in at the top of the show, giving our great Pride Month message here from the Collective. This has been a great one. I love this episode. Really, really good conversation. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Mondays, you got Wrestling with Tism with Hannibal Sports, the WrestleFish, and James. James has made his illustrious return back to Wrestling with Tism.
He took the pay cut, everybody.
He took the pay cut. We have Sunday the 14th. We have Queens Road Collection 7 or 8. I think we're 7. 8. Collection 7. Again, Queens Road is our once a month or now twice a month podcast dedicated to everything women's wrestling. Very, very excited for that. So please be on the lookout for that. For Hannibal, for Ryan, for Dev, and this is Juice Springsteen. We are the Wrestle Collective. We want to say thank you for joining us. Please make sure to like, subscribe. That is going to do it for us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, this is the Wrestle Collective.